Bitcoin is going to zero. Zero.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for jumping in. You have to jump in the house. How is it going? Welcome. Great to have you guys. Let me check out my microphone. Seeing like maybe I'm not hitting good volume setups in there. Let me get it checked really quickly. And the thing is just, of course, running pretty slow. Let me know. Does my audio sounds pretty low, or is it sounds okay? All right, finally I was able to jump in here. All right, yeah, 35%. Let's go do this. All right, much better. Seems like we are back at a good volume level. So let's get it. Let's take a look at what we got in the charts. Today is going to be a very short show, but let's go and take a look at how it is going. Welcome. All right, so let's get started first on Bitcoin. So let's go over Bitcoin really quickly, and then we're gonna be going over the alerts that we have hit. And after that, well, we're not gonna be making some hunting today, but it's gonna be a little bit of a short show. All right, so far this is where we left out on Bitcoin, and everything is loading, of course, at the same time. Well, I'm looking for a possible shorting here. Just so you know, I already have enter. We had a red end up of our oscillator, so I decided to front run this. Nonetheless, I'm looking for a possible secondary entry. So this is a half of an entry, the one that I had in here, and then my secondary entry, it is up at the top in there. So if it hits, I'm gonna have something like that, like an entry. So it's averaging up my short entry, and I'm looking for my first taking profit somewhere around here, right there, right at the beginning of that order block at 86,856, and the next one all the way down here at the center of that order block at 84,812. So let's see if we are able to flop right before we hit this stop, and that was because we are losing that money flow. If you take a look at here, we are actually dropping on that money flow, which means we might not have that that extra hold up into the markets that we are expecting. So let's go. Let's take a look at a couple of other stuff. We ring today on ZRO, so it's pretty parabolic, to be honest. Let me turn things off in here, and let's take a look at how it's been pumping. It's been pumping like crazy, so just be careful with this one. With parabolic movement, they're non-stopping until they start breaking the parabolic trend line. So far we haven't seen any of that, so this is going to be a continuation to the upside right in here, all the way between the 235 and the 266. Are we gonna be able to enter in here? Not really. If you want to go for it, be extremely careful, but I'm not gonna be jumping in until I see something like this, or I see a rejection on the market. So far so good, still hitting some targets. Let's go and take a look at a couple of other stuff. So TRX, we also had a ring on that one. We are expecting a short opportunity. We haven't jumped in this one, but we're hunting that. So what are we looking for on TRX? It is first, there we go. Let me just move that out of the way. We have the breakout in here. We have a sell signal, and we're looking for an area of rejection. Despite we had a smart money entry right there. Let me bring that up. Let me see if I can recalculate some stuff in here. There it is. Despite we had this green S1W area right there, and a VRVP to my right that was indicating me that most likely this would have been an area of rejection. We haven't had any flip off the ribbon, so not really an area to jump in just now, but then we're looking for the next possible target. So the next possible target is going to be all the way up in here, and well, it's time to start looking into that possible rejection on this next trend line. So hopefully we get that rejection. So far it's been pumping really strongly, and well, to be expected after a big drop like this. So far it's been, I believe, a 50% retracement. We'll take a look at that with a Fibonacci, so non-point predicted point, and right now we are almost right there with that 50% retracement. So let's go. Maybe we can get that short tonight. We'll see. Let me add one of those alerts, and let's try to keep it up with that one. So we have, hey Kevin, how's it going? Welcome, great to have you here. All set. How's it going, Kelly? Welcome, guys. Really appreciate you guys stopping by. Let's go and take a look at a couple of other stuff in here, things that had played out. So, or sorry, not played out, but they have been ring alerts. So another one is River. All right, so River, I was talking about a break of structure continuation. If I'm not mistaken, that was on hackers. And that really played out as it was breaking through. But nonetheless, it's not something that I really like to trade. Something important about why this is playing out, it is because we are fairly bullish, and we are also we have momentum and above that zero line, not momentum, I mean money flow, and we are above that zero line, which indicates momentum in that moving. So if you took this one, if you are from the hackers community and took this trade, make sure to move your stop to entry and set something like a, I don't know, 0.5% of trailing if you can. Sometimes you're stuck with 1% trailing, so keep in mind that at this point you will need to be very fast to trail this up, because at some point, look at this, you could get a rejection. Also remember, this in this part I was explaining the break of structure trading, that you could be buying the top, and that's why it's very important to use a stop loss. So far so good. This one has played out fairly nicely. Let's take a look at HANA USDT. So on HANA, we were looking for some support areas. Those support areas have not yet been taken, and instead of going to visit that trend line, instead of that, we are creating a triangular pattern. In this case, so far we haven't had another pivot in here, so not really strong rejection. So I cannot really set a line right there. But where I could absolutely definitely set a line, it is this one right here. So we still need to wait. Most likely this could be a, so far, a head and shoulders kind of like stuff, a going upwards head and shoulders, and these tend to fail. And if you're able to jump across or bounce off that zero line, most likely we will be able to break to the upside. But keep an eye on HANA. I think that will be a good one to look for. Let me actually add an alert. Oh, we already have it. Let's go for this other alert. And we're going to be trying to do the breakout trading on this one. So let's lock it. I think I unlock it. Yep. And let's add an alert to it. All right, perfect. So far, so good. Let's take a look at a couple of other stuff, like for example, Ross. Ross, we had a parabolic trend line moving to the upside like this. So far, so good. It has been breaking out. Let me just clear all of this doodling, because at this point I was expecting or explaining that double top or where to enter for a short. We already have the breakout of that parabolic trend line, and we're looking for a lower low or a lower high. If we don't get it, we're gonna do a BOS entry, so a break of structure entry, just like we did with River. All right. So what do I mean? So let's actually go for that. If we start making this, well, then at that kind of close, we longed it and we keep moving upwards, and then we adjust our parabolic line. If not, if this creates a lower high, well, then that's going to be our pivot, and we're going to try to enter for a short as we're losing that that zero line on our oscillator. I was expecting to go a little higher. That's why we're expecting that top in there. But I'm going to recycle this alert, and let's place it a little bit lower here. All right. And let's add another one at the top. Basically, what I'm doing, it's creating a little bit of a channel to define where the breakout might happen. So very important. Hey, Gare, how's it going? All set? Welcome, guys. Welcome. So basically, looking to hold this zone, all right, or break that area right there. So depending on what happens in here with the price action, I'm going to be taking either a long or a short. I would say most likely a short because we are breaking the parabolic movement in here. Nonetheless, we are pretty bullish, and we have basically no consolidation. So if we start breaking that up, the top trend line, remember, break off structure entry, just like we did on River. All right. So fair warning there. Extremely dangerous entry. So let's keep an eye on what happens in there. So far on 4 hours BNB, everything is just stuck within the dynamic reactor and the quantum reactor. Let me actually just go cleaner here. But everything is kind of like a shaky. Let's go to the daily. Because we see like very weak candles there. Let me turn on everything. Not really much to really hold. So let's go for that. And I see another important one that maybe we can go for, which is going to be this trend line in there. Let's zoom in into the 4 hours. And not really something that I like. Actually, let's go and remove this one. Not sure why I draw that one. And so far, well then, we have a pivot in here, and it's not about the breakout, it's about the retest. We'll see if we are able to hold that zone. In fact, we have two alerts, one at 893 and another one at 903. This is going to be our entry channel. Be careful, because as I see it, maybe we're able to, because we have lesser money flow, we might be not even able to hit the dynamic reactor and make a big drop. So keep an eye on those alerts. I will be maybe doing a half of an entry and half of an entry on those zones as we have flip of the ribbon. Oh, come on. Let me move this like that. All right, perfect. And what I'm going for is this short. I'm going to place it in the middle. All right. But remember, we're going to be hunting that flip of the ribbon as we're hunting it in the rest of the assets. Let's take a look at TRX if we haven't. Oh yeah, we have. So again, waiting for that area to be hit. Perfect. And let's see, Solana. I want to take a look at Solana. By the way, guys, if you have anything on your mind, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to follow along. All right, so let's go to 30 minutes in here. We were talking about that yesterday because of the kind of candles that we had. Nonetheless, we do have this movement here. Not as fantastic as I was expecting, but we do have that rejection from yesterday. So again, we are within the same area, either flip of the ribbon, right, rejecting of the zero line, or waiting for a rejection at the top, breaking through our dynamic and quantum reactors. So far, they're entangled right now, and one it's crossing other. Not really good, a good point. Look at our prime score, very low, and our consolidation score pretty high. So most likely we're gonna break to the downside. So keep in mind that we're hunting shorts In our best case scenario short, it's going to be all the way up there. But if we have a rejection in here, remember, that's going to be our opportunity to short it. All right. How does the continuation on the oscillator pro looks like? How does the continuation on what, Garrett? Can you explain me a little bit more on the oscillator pro looks continuation? Let's it should be looking exactly the same. A continuation of the ribbon. So when I mention continuation, most likely I'm talking about the ribbon continuing its path, but should be exactly the same. Like, let me bring it up both like that. There you go. It's basically the same. All right, yeah. On the oscillator looks exactly the same. Look at that. Yeah, exactly the same. Yeah, you just look at your ribbon. That should be leading the way. All right, perfect. If you have any other question, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to explain. All right, so let's take a look at Netflix. Netflix, I've been wanting to long Netflix for the longest time, and that is because it's been very, very bearish for a long time. Look at that. This is daily, right? On daily, we have this trend line. In fact, we were giving it a little bit of that space. And not only that, well, we have right now we have a stop or a TP number one ticking here, right? Remember that I used those as possible reversals. We have a sweep of the lows, right? We have a 1, 2, 3 triple divergence. We have a big seeker, and we have an overbought, oversold boxing here, right? So far looking great. We have bright red on our power bar, which means we're getting closer to the end. So at this point, it will be a good idea to start looking for that shire or that more off color red, right? So we have an alert somewhere around 79.30. Let me add another one just in case. Just at the bottom of this candle, I'm going to be adding another one right there at 81.94. And what I want to do here is give me an early alert. So this is going to be part of my entry zone as we go lower. So when this thing hits this area, I want to come over and see what color do I have in my power bar. If I have a less of a brighter color, so a dimmer color here, I'll be more than happy jumping, looking for that flip of the ribbon. So in that case, I could be front running the flip of the ribbon. That's just because of the power bar. As you can see, let me show you right there. We have the bright color, and then we have the flip of the ribbon. I think that we could be having that. And remember, this is not to go to the moon, but at least going to go higher, close the CME gap right there, somewhere around 87, 80, 86, right? I think still a good trade to go. Hey, Dachi, how's it going, Dachi? Welcome, my friend. Great to have you. No, I mean the continuation of the movement. For example, if there's a dynamic, what is it, DN reversal, okay, and the ribbon flips, but the price it's moving upwards, then the oscillator creates a lower high and a bearish divergence. Oh, it still looks the same than the other one. So you're talking about then, if I understand, something along those lines, right? And the ribbon flips up, but and so the ribbon flips up, right? The ribbon flips up. The ribbon flips up. But the price it's moving, but the price is moving upward. Then the oscillator creates a lower high, so the price is moving upwards. Then the oscillator creates a lower high. and a bearish divergence. Well, in this case, wouldn't create a bearish divergence in here because diverging is going the other way around. But yeah, I mean, the price continuation in both case scenarios, they are exactly the same. Most likely yours on the Prima Zero Pro Plus, it doesn't have the old shape, so it's looking a little more flatter. Let me go for it, but that really, I don't really like that because it gives me, yes, more precise flip of the ribbon, right? But also takes away the goose hits that I really like. When it would be moving, creating a bearish divergence would be something like that, unless this is exactly what we were talking about and I just misread it, right? So ribbon going lower, right? And here ribbon going, I mean price action going higher. This is what creates a divergence, right? And then it creates a lower high and the price action keeps going upwards. That does create a divergence because the price action it's not following. And then after those two divergences, that's when we get the last blow off and then the reversal of the price action. All right. I'll be taking a look at that example. Absolutely. If not, I'll just read it and we can go ahead and take a look at it in tomorrow's class. But let me see. I did open up here. All right, but yeah, send me the thing, and I'll be more than happy to go over it. The example, and I'll be more than happy to go over it. All right, let's go over a couple of other stuff and call it a day. So I want to go over Tia. Tia is still on the same for the 4 hours. Let's go over that. Right, so going for that quarter and quarter, it did play it out very nicely, but I did not jump in on TIA, as you can see. But whatever, let me just clear this up. I'm still at this point hunting for a continuation short, or maybe in this case a possible breakout. All right, so I know this is kind of like a up or down kind of scenario, right? But look at that. If we start creating this trend line like that, right? And if let me just force it ever so slightly. So I'm forcing it ever so slightly to go and hit this one, and getting closer to this one. Well, then we have a breakout, right? Range retest and possible off we go. The important part is that we are below the zero line, so we should be looking for shorts, right? If I then not force it at all and then go for this high and then I drop this one to these other highs, I'm pretty much still on a rejection, right? So which one is it going to be? So let me go for this one then. All right, so I mean, not because we're not bouncing off or through that trend line means that we couldn't have, you know, the sweep of the lows, right? But this is the point. I mean, if we would have been going lower at this point, I believe that we should already be seeing that movement to the downside, right? Yes, we tried to break above. We did on that oscillator. I mean, on the ribbon, on our dynamic reactor, and then breaking through to the downside. Yeah, absolutely, Gare. I mean, you know, you got my full attention in that, my friend. Absolutely. All right, so at this point, well, what I need to have, it's either a lower low, all right? And then whenever that lower low goes for, and let me turn on my indicators to look for that lower low. It's going to be messy. Bear with me. All right. That lower low seems to be pretty damn closer. In fact, right there. So let me turn things off. Okay, perfect. And we have a huge area where our POC is at, right? So this one right here. So I would actually try to go for, there we go, looking for a flip of the ribbon here, breakthrough. All right, flip of the ribbon here, breakthrough. But we ain't got no money flow to actually held on through, right? So would that mean breakthrough continuation downwards? Well, then We did win breakthrough here, right? Retest, and off we go. So far it's looking way more bullish than, way more bearish than bullish. But again, if we are able, because it's a 95% order block, right? So that is freakishly good. So if we're able to break through, or to bounce off, I think the next area to go for a short will be up above that area. So what I'm trying to tell you guys, it's if we get the flip of the rebound and break through that zero line, let's go for a long. All right. And then if we go for a long, let's take a look at where we're going to be having the crossing. And most likely within that vicinity, we might have, oh, and I didn't want to go, we might have a rejection zone. So that will be good for a short continuation. In fact, let's add right here our alert at the bottom and another one at the top. I want to go for that flip of the rebound. And of course, I want to go over and try to take it. If for any reason everything fails, remember, we just wait for breakout, right? Pull back your short entry and then a continuation lower. And for that continuation lower, let's bring up not only our order blocks, look at that, all the way down to 0.25, but also I want to take a look at where my order block profile it's pointing at, which is basically nowhere. So we haven't generated anything. So next target will be all the way down here. Hey, what's up, brother? Hey, sexy, I should be good to go tomorrow. Let's go, my friend. Thanks for covering my pleasure, my friend. My pleasure. Such a pleasure, brother. All right, let's get it. So let's do one more asset, and I'll be calling out the night. Still need to go for some drugs, of course, some medicine, and we'll get some rest. Let's get it. Let's take a look at a couple of other stuff. Let me go for classic tokens. Not tokens, but cryptocurrencies. I want to go over XRP, of course. Let me clear this up. Well, in fact, let's go over that into the 30 minutes. All right, so we were looking for a bounty here. Remember, this one kicked my ass, XRP. So it went up in here as we were expecting, but then it teased me right there. I really thought we were going to be going to hit the target, but it went back on me. So it is what it is. Let me just clear this up. And at this point, we are hovering down below. Remember, this was a half of an entry. So, well, it is what it is, right? So remember, small hits, right? Big wins. Small hits, big wins. So far, we are crossing over. Look at that, trying to cross over that zero line. I don't think we're going to make it. So at this point, I'm looking for a bounce out of here, another last bounce, and finally a breakout. So direction will be downwards. I'm just looking for that that pivot point. If I'm breaking through here, I'm gonna be fast to short this thing, most likely because we should be already below that zero line. Yes, I'm feeling under the weather. A little bit of a flu, yeah. I had this when all cool kids are heading out. I heard this is where all the cool kids are heading out. What? Oh yeah, absolutely, brother. Welcome. Flu and COVID taking people out. Oh yeah, absolutely. Shouldn't be that that big of a deal. I haven't had, like that huge COVID symptoms or anything like that. I did had it back in the day, and dude, that really killed me. Yesterday was a pretty bad night. I mean, I had fever and stuff, but nothing that some drugs that my wife gave me solved, right? Some white powder. No, just kidding. Yeah, it's just a flu medicine. Classic old flu medicine. Thank you, my friend. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. All right, so far, looking for a drop down in here. We are below dynamic reactor. We are trying to make a crossover, but we're not having it. Look at the size of that money flow, in that it's just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Look at the amount of resistance that we had at the top. So I believe that we're going to go a little bit lower, then fake us out, and finally a continuation downwards. Let's take a look at one more time at Bitcoin, all right? So Bitcoin, let me see. Let's go for it. Perfect. it's looking like it's making a bearish flag. Let's actually go for a cleaner chart. Here it goes. All right, so a bearish pennant, a bearish flag where we have the big pulling here, and we have the smaller triangle right there. So that's not good. Another important thing that I see is that we have this reversal. Very important on this one right there. Look at the amount or how big this bar is. All right, this means that if we break through, we could and we will absolutely be having a rejection in here. How big of a rejection? I really hope it's smaller, and then we can go for the spring. All right, but if we actually start breaking through and then making a higher low, we are changing scenarios. We're not bearish anymore, and then we're micro bullish for the next week. All right, but so far it's looking bearish, although we have a huge support. All right, and if for some reason it decides to breaks up, we have the resistance right there. So we're going to be looking for a rejection of that zone, maybe support, back at support, right? And then a continuation upwards. But at this point, remember, I'm looking for a short. We are short, and I'm looking for that flip of the rebound. So other than that, guys, thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate you guys to stopping by. Really appreciate you guys to clicking that like button. Really a reminder. And as always, see you guys tomorrow.
Bitcoin is going to zero. Zero.